Hello, and welcome to another little bit of positive balance in an uncertain world with Therapy Ted and me. Well, I hope you're staying dry today because it's a bit of a miserable day, to be honest, isn't it? Now, today we have an issue, which is I am good enough. So this is looking at the fact that a lot of us have a piece of programming running that says we're not good enough. And one of the things I want to sort of get you to think about is that last word, enough. Good enough for what? Good enough to whose standards? It's an interesting question, isn't it? Because a lot of us say, oh, I'm not good enough for that. Well, how do you know? And who told you that you weren't good enough for that or this or whatever? So it's always something to think about what phrases we use and where they actually come from. So today we're going to be working at unpicking a bit of that. So hopefully the next time maybe you get an opportunity or you feel that you're being challenged in some way, that you can kind of go, no, hang on a minute, no, I'm good enough for that. Yeah, definitely. And sometimes it's worth thinking about, what are your standards for what's good enough? Because ultimately, unless you're harming somebody else, the only standard you have to measure up to is yourself and your own self-esteem. And that would be good if that was good, then that would be good. So today we have this balance around the issue of I am good enough, and we also have on the body the back flower remedy, heather. Now I'm just going to get a book so I can just read you this. I'll put a picture up here somewhere about heather, but it's absolutely a lovely picture. And this one, the positive qualities of heather are that you are a good listener, that you're able to relate well to others in a two-way conversation. You can give and help others unselfishly, and that you have interest in others and things going on outside yourself. This is always a good remedy to have for those people who they only talk about themselves or their ailments. I think most of us probably know one person in our lives, maybe an older person who it's all about them and it's all about their ailments. So it's when people can become totally self-obsessed. This is what the problem is here. So they stop listening and they just talk. And as somebody said years ago to me, there's a reason why we have two ears and one mouth, because we're supposed to listen more than we speak. So, but this is all. So somebody who is in need of heather is that the fact that they are poor listeners. So it's almost a bit like a needy child. They're somebody who's continually wanting reassurance. They're continually wanting your help on something. There's this kind of needy sort of person. And this can go back to childhood when there was possibly some form of deprivation, either mental or emotional, or indeed they just didn't feel that they were loved. And we've talked about this before, that you might have been loved a lot by your parents, but there are different ways of giving and receiving love. And if the way that you like to receive love was not the way that one or both of your parents decided to show you love, then there's a mismatch there, and you could have got the message that you weren't loved, when in actual fact you were loved hugely, but you just didn't take that on board. If you want to know more about that, just mention it in the comments below and I'll do another bit all about that. So as the heather remedy, if you were taking it on a regular basis, as you were taking that, you'd start to develop interests outside of yourself. You'd start to look outside of yourself, be more interested in other things and less concerned about what's going on. Now, I know that when I've seen clients who have sort of levels of depression, or if they're in a lot of pain for some reason, it becomes very easy to go inwards and only focus on your own stuff. But if we can come back out, and if we can be more interested in the world around us and in other people, then that actually helps us to come out of ourselves, out of our depression, mask the pain for a little bit longer. It's not an instant cure, but it's a piece of work that we can continually sort of keep catching ourselves if we find that we're retreating within again. So anyway, that is what I need to say about the heather. So there we go. And the first harmonic we have, it's a quantum kinesiology balance, and the Cosbats. We do have permission to hold the Cosbats, to hold the emotional stress release points, sorry, with the Cosbats. And these are going to be on the sacral chakra, which is to do with the emotions. So the first harmonic is an original trigger, and this is ancestral inheritance. We've got a very, very ancestrally heavy balance here today. And we then go into trauma compartments in DNA. We then have a relationship harmonic. Now, quite normally we actually would find out who the relationship was with, and it could be with yourself or it could be with other people, individuals or groups. Obviously, because there's more than one person watching this, we have left this open. So if somebody or a group of people kind of pop into your head, that's probably the person or the group that we're actually working on today for you. And the next harmonic is rehydrate cells. We do need to remember to drink plenty of fluids, because nothing works as well in the body if we're dehydrated. Even a little bit, every cell gets compromised. And at the moment, we kind of need all our cells to be firing on all cylinders. And the final harmonic is an ancestral healing harmonic, and that is, it branches out to other relatives. So this is something that you've inherited, and other relatives of yours have inherited this as well. Ooh. And the nice thing about this is that if other relatives have inherited this, so that's your children, your parents, your nieces, nephews, aunts, uncles, if any of them have this same thing, we can have the intention that if it's not necessary for them in this current life, then we can actually remove this piece of baggage from them as well, which I always think is quite a nice gift. Not that they need to know about it, well, unless you think that they would understand and you want to tell them. Okay, because we have a thought with this one, which is I am good enough, this next part of this balance is going to be quite quiet. So I'm going to put some music on. And, oh, where are we? And then Therapy Ted will sit over here, as he normally does. Oh, face this way, Therapy Ted. And he has the Cosbats and the Heatherback Flower Remedy. And then I want you just to either soft focus or close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths. And then I want you just to go inside your body and just register, you know, where you feel tensions, are there any tightnesses in there, any sort of different feelings or sensations, any heaviness, any lightness. And I want you to think for yourself, or think to yourself rather, I am good enough. And just see how that resonates with you. Are you very dismissive of it? Is it more of a, possibly, maybe? Or is it closer to being, well, of course I'm good enough? There's actually quite a lot of energy shifting on this one. Hence the yawns for those of you who this might be your first positive balance with us. So just keep thinking, I am good enough. If other thoughts float in, just kind of allow them to float in and float out again. Don't really follow them, just keep thinking, I am good enough. Notice if you get to a point where your body relaxes. Maybe it might give a big sigh. Maybe you're yawning too. Yawning is a sign of the body relaxing. It's also a sign of it kind of going down another level and ensuring that any negative energies are being released so they don't get sort of stuck in your energy body. Notice also if your body actually isn't relaxing, maybe it's actually getting tighter. Maybe there's more resistance to the statement. Don't worry about it. Your body's just telling you that it's quite a big piece of work for you. Just accept this is probably something you're going to need to revisit. But every time you do, another little piece of the puzzle will get removed until you absolutely know that you are good enough. This one's starting to settle now. Hopefully for most of you, you can also feel that the body is relaxing a little bit, maybe even a lot. Now we've been told that there's some quite sticky energies with this particular balance. So I'm going to use something called an air conditioner. This is from the Aurosoma range, and this helps clear the energy. So obviously you won't be able to smell it, but Therapy Ted and I on your behalf will be clearing your energies in your space. Oh, it's quite sweet, this one. It's quite floral, and it's called El Moria. And just while everybody's just starting to come round a little bit, I'll just tell you a little bit about this particular essence. Because this one is about, it inspires creative communication and stimulates our creative abilities. It helps us find greater clarity in situations with our parents. When you consider how much ancestral stuff we've got going on in this particular balance, that's quite important. And it's also an antidote to feelings of loneliness, because we recognise that we are all one rather than each of us being alone and an individual. It offers grace, ease, and a strengthening of our connection with the divine will, which enables us to align ourselves with our purpose. Lovely. So just one more time before you open your eyes, I want you just to think for me, I am good enough. Oh, that's testing a lot stronger. So hopefully you felt that this time when you thought I am good enough, there was a lot less sort of back chat going on of maybe your ego going, oh, we're not really that good. And a more of a quiet sort of, no, we are good enough, absolutely. So I hope that's been the case for you. And Therapy Ted and I will say goodbye, and we will see you next week on Tuesday again, and I'll be sporting a new haircut. See you then.